Well, the you-know-what's hitting the fan. I told you this was going to happen. I keep telling you that the crap is going to rise to the top, and it isn't going to be pretty. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it isn't there. I'm going to talk about a few people who have blatantly come out and said that the things that they've been teaching, that you may have been listening to for years, has all been a lie. More and more is going to come out. And most of it isn't because they're going to admit it. It's going to be because they can't hide it anymore. The lies and the you-know-what is hitting the fan. This is all good for us. You ready for this? Let's go. Welcome to Landria, Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through fear. Break through fear. What are you afraid of? What makes you upset? You think you're not getting your way? Somebody else thinks different than you. You get upset. When you get upset, that's 100% ego. 100%. Yeah. And that's basement frequency. It's not right nor wrong. You can't help it. It's who we are, right? We all have opinions, and we all have our, panties wrapped up in a bunch once in a while. But what are you going to do with that? And is it really serving you or others? Are you going to get a heart attack or or an ulcer from it? For what? You won't remember any of these things you argue about. It's so silly. And here's the thing. No one is absolutely wrong. Everyone is right. And people say, well, no, I can prove. I said, no, you can't. You can't, because somewhere there's a reality where something exists in the way somebody sees it. And it's right for them. Why do you need to have them believe and think what you do? Can we let that go? But here's what I want you to know. What you think is proven and is right, some things are being proven not so right. I hope you'll subscribe. Really need your support more than anything at this crucial time when I want people to know that they absolutely are creating their own reality, that they don't need to argue a point, and that it's okay to have opinions and not agree with one another, but it doesn't harm you, and that none of this really counts in the long run. It's our actions that count in every moment, not the circumstances of who and what did what. It's all about, what am I giving? And am I serving others? Am I putting my ego aside to serve others? And ego can have a great purpose. If I didn't have an ego, I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk to you, because ego dictates that it wants to succeed. Even if it's a positive thing, ego can drive you to do positive things. It's okay. We're humans. Can we just sort of back off on one another and stop the name calling and things? I think it's sort of insane that I see some of this stuff going on my own channel. You love me until maybe you don't agree with me, and then what, you're going to turn on me? Is that how the world works? Yes. So those of you who want all the freebies, they're down in the description. Your personal free inspiration to help this get in check so you can get through these years. The second thing that we have down there is Digital Explorers. We're creating planet conscious businesses, not like sustainable stuff. I'm talking about anything you want to create, that you've loved the idea of, that you want to do. We create it and we turn it into an online business. I take all my business acumen and all my spiritual teachings, we put it together and we say, let's do some really good stuff. And it's time to do that. Now, there's a lot of creators out there, and you have the chance to be one of them. I can teach you how to do it. But what are they doing with it? They are banking on eyeballs. They're banking on making money. And a lot of them will do and say anything to get those eyeballs. But I just want you to know that that's how the game is played. Why? Because you dictate it. Because whenever I say some nice little thing, it doesn't get traffic. But as soon as I say, the world is coming to an end, everybody wants to read it, right? It's just natural. We always stop to look at accidents and, train crashes. Isn't that the truth? So go easy on yourself. It's just natural for us to want that challenge, that controversy. It's exciting. But here's what I want to share with you. Have you ever heard of someone called Goode? And I'm sure you might have heard of David Wilcox. I'm calling these two out for one reason. They blatantly have come out, Goode in particular, has come out and admitted that everything that he has been sharing with people is made up. He said it's true for him and his imagination. How did this come up? How do we know? He had to go in a court of law to protect his book about the secret space program. He was a child, and apparently, they did this 20 years, and then they regressed him back, and he comes back here, and he lost 20 years. He was fighting over on Mars. This absolutely insane that I never believed, but it was interesting. It was fascinating, right? We love all this stuff. And David Wilcox, who had a show, he even had a show on Gaia, was interviewing him and taking it very seriously. And then he was touring around the country, and there was a lot of money to be made from this, a lot of attention. I think Goode got more attention than anything. The story was actually quite ridiculous, and most of it was very negative. There's all these wars going on and these kids being sent to the 20 and out program. I don't believe any of it. Well, you might, and that's okay. But he admitted he made it up because he had to protect what he called an intellectual property. So he wrote about it. Well, other people said, yes, I was in the secret space program. Well, he knew he was lying. So he wanted to sue them because he said, you can't do that. I made up the secret space program. They went, what do you mean? You made it up? I was really in the secret space program. 20 years, and I was fighting, I'm out. Of course, there's a lot of people that want to believe that stuff, and, they'll make whatever up in their head. And so he wanted to protect his intellectual property, saying that I own the rights to this idea. And they said, so are you saying that it's made up? He goes, well, for me, it was real for me. And, well, yes. Yes. Yeah, I made it up. How many of you have been following him? How many of you have followed David Wilcox? I remember at one point I thought, this has gotten so insane. These guys just make up whatever. As long as you consistently tell the same story over and over again, people are, hey, he's never changed his story. David Wilcox claims to be Edgar Cayce reincarnated because he looks sort of like him. Yeah, well, he tried to propose that to the Monroe Institute, and they, of course, rejected it. This is insanity. We don't need all this stuff. You don't need to believe all these stories. They're made up and sensationalized. And are some of them true? I don't know. I don't really want to spend my time listening to these things that, if you know they're true or not, they're going to affect your energy field and the thoughts you have about the world. And most of these stories are quite negative and frightening, to be honest with you. Most of them portray our neighbors, planetary neighbors, to be total malevolent assholes. Yeah, they are, supposedly, according to most storytellers. And then there's the good and the bad, and we've got it here. You don't have to leave the planet to go get it. Now, some of you got really upset because I don't get political, but I do discuss political figures and people out there. So, first of all, nobody actually knows how I feel about President Trump because I've never told. All right? What I did say is that if somebody with their huge ego wants to be the president of peace, and he's going to do everything in his power to do that, I'm all for it, okay? And then, of course, people come in, well, he's doing this and this and this, but we can never stay focused because we paint everybody with one colored brush. And that's impossible because that doesn't exist. You are a myriad of everything, both good and bad, and you know this. You could be perfect, and you can also be a little cray-cray yourself. We all can. We have it in all of us. I don't think there's any one person who is totally good or totally bad. Even the worst of some of the leaders in the past that you think couldn't possibly have a decent bone in their body. Somewhere in there is. They may have never displayed it. But they are all of one source that's perfect. So, of course, it has to be there somewhere. It's all a choice. So when you get upset and you have to name call people, ask yourself why. What's being threatened? Because the lies are all going to come out. The lies. So no matter what you protect or what you believe, I guarantee you, you're going to find out some stuff coming up. It's going to blow your mind about a lot of people. Government officials, movie stars, all kinds of people that maybe you looked up to that were in positions of integrity, supposedly, maybe professors or people in religion. You're going to find out there are a lot of them that are just regular people who've done crazy stuff. And so here's the real question for you is, when do we stop judging that and now saying, oh, now they're bad? No, they're just doing bad stuff. They're the same person. You just didn't know it. Or maybe all these stories you believed and now they're different to you. How did that happen? See, we want to name people good or bad, right or wrong. And that doesn't actually exist. And the one creates everything, even the darkest of the dark, and loves it equally, because it is the essence of all things. So my question is, what are you listening to that takes a side, blames and points fingers? Because there's no one that is totally good or bad. And that very person that you might think is bad might be the one that turns around and does something amazing. And this is why I shot a couple of videos on President Trump. I said, what if his ego is so huge and he can't stand to be wrong that he's going to do everything in his power to be the president of peace? What if that happens? Do you still want to hate him if that's how you feel right now? And I think some of you do. Well, he's doing all these other things. No, I'm talking about this one situation. Can you look at somebody and say, I'm looking at this one situation? But we like to push people into corners and say, you belong over here. I walked up to a pharmacy, CVS, and there was a pretty rough-looking young guy, and he started walking up to the entrance, and I thought he's probably going to ask me for money. And the first thing he said is, ma'am, he goes, I'm looking for a job. I'm trying to get. I said, stop. You don't have to explain anything to me. Do you want money? Yes. I said, let me see what kind of cash I've got. So I pulled out. I only had $7, unfortunately. I said, I only have $7. But you don't have to explain a thing to me. You're going to be fine. I said, you're a good guy. And he changed at that moment. He said, thank you. But he felt he needed to explain why I should have a reason to give him the money, that he is the good guy. If he took it, and by the way, I don't think so, he did not look like he was doing drugs or anything, and I could be wrong, it didn't matter. And my point to him is, it doesn't matter. I just want to give you money because you need it. Yeah, he definitely needs it. Whether it was for anything, it doesn't matter. It's none of my business. And so I treated him with integrity. And I think I shared a similar story with you, where my friend just didn't like me talking to this homeless person, who I went and got a $20 sandwich for. He sends me to the deli. I went, this guy knows what he's doing. Went and got a nice stacked sandwich for him, and sauerkraut on the side, sir, and a bottle of water. And my friend stood like a block away, did not want anything to do with him. He had an opinion of those people. And he talked about it a while ago. That guy you talked to, he was a pretty good guy. He was a veteran. I said, actually, he was a good guy. But what if he wasn't? I went and got the sandwich anyways. It doesn't matter. You give without judgment. All right? And so these lies are going to come out because people think they have to be something to people. They have to be the perfect person. And those out there that we name as, the indigents and all the, lazy and all this stuff, may be the very people that are our little guides or angels. You just never know. Doesn't matter. They could be indigents. Doesn't matter to me. We have to look at each other as equal, beautiful people. And you're going to find out the truth about those who want to hide behind certain facades. That's going to come to the surface a lot. Why? We can't hide anything, especially with AI and what's going on. There's nothing you can hide. I'm going to ask you right now, what are you hiding behind? What are you not being honest with yourself? Somebody called us all suckers on my channel. I let it go, and I said, you don't need to do that. Oh, well, you don't know the difference between, me just giving advice. And I said, no, you weren't. You meant to insult. It's just not necessary. It didn't hurt my feelings, but it wasn't necessary. It is a low frequency, and it goes into the pool. You pooped in our pool. You never poop in your pool. Don't mess in your nest, right? So get ready. You're going to see the truths will start coming out. And so again, if this person does all these bad things, but then they do something wonderful, what are they? You want to sit and judge them? I don't know. I'm done with that, aren't you? Yeah, I have my opinion, and there's some things going on pretty bad here that need to be changed, and they aren't good. What are we going to do about it? I'm not going to be in the streets protesting. I'm going to say, what can we do to bring peace to this situation and help those in need, and work with the institutions and corporations and governments so that they can make higher choices, because they have an agenda and you're not going to change that. I'm going to change the government. No, you're not. They are in the basement. They like to be in the basement. They rule the basement. They're going to tell you, nice little kid. Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll do this, and they'll throw you a bone, right? Yeah. That's how it works. You don't change the massive machine. You create something beautiful and amazing. And if we focus on that, solutions will arrive. New inventions will show up, but we have to focus on that. And so if President Trump is the president of peace, and it happens, if he pulls this off, and a lot of you want to criticize it because you can't stand him, so you're going to, everything the guy does, you're going to drill him down. He is who he is, and he was put into office, and I think everything's exactly the way it should be, because one of the most controversial people on the planet is shaking things up in a way that is going to force us to make changes if we don't like it, and that's a good thing. Otherwise, they're doing a sort of an okay job, whatever. Yeah, we sit here, I can pay my bills. No, that's not what's happening here. We're having to make some serious decisions. And if you don't like something, it's because the world is changing in a way that says you can't sit on your laurels anymore. You just can't sit back and not do anything. It's not good for anybody, especially you. So, do you know what's hitting the fan? Corey Goode. Well, it was true to me. I made it up. It's my story. Oh, Corey. It was so stupid anyways. Anyways, the guy has a mullet. What can you do with a mullet when you're on Mars? Yes, now I'm going to have somebody say, I have a mullet. You're making fun. Can we have a little fun for a change? Can you guys lighten up a little bit? Can you stop taking sides and arguing? Because that's what the basement dwellers love. They want us arguing. It keeps us down there with them. Yeah, let them argue. Let's throw a few things out there and see what happens. You ready for this? Because you're going to see some more stories coming out. A lot of people getting in trouble. Yeah. And that's okay. Maybe they'll straighten up their act. Maybe not. How about you? I know I want to. I know that I want to work on absolutely everything. And it's ongoing. And there's no one that gets away with it. Even Christ, he got angry. This is the journey. Accept it and enjoy it. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.